How to start a construction project. If you want to go fast, you have got to get out of the gate fast. In this video, I will discuss the methods or the steps that I have used over and over to set up a project right. And I will say, one of the things, I'm not good at everything or even a lot of things, but I am really good at this. In fact, throughout a large portion of my career, I was asked to go start projects and get them rolling. And I just love it because if you follow this process, it hits every single time. And I love being prepared. For me personally, I hate being in fires. I hate fighting fires. I know there's some superintendents out there that just love the adrenaline. That's how they get their significance. It's all they know how to do. They just like running around fighting fires. And so if anybody tries to take away their fire, they're like, oh, don't take away my fire. I love fighting fires. That's how I get my significance. This guy right here, I do not like fires. I do not like emergencies. I do not like chaos. I do not like variation. There is nothing like new contractors coming to the project site brand new and having their quality meetings done, all their paperwork ready, they have the plan, they're on schedule, they know how the system of the job site works, and you are ready and you're able to watch and grind instead of run around like a chicken with your head cut off. That's my jam. So this list that I'm about to give you, this is not the how to run a project from the beginning, right, in pre-construction. This is not the how do we win a project. This is not even the first parts of the project management system. This is, you got to start a project. It's coming in a couple months or weeks. What are the key steps you've got to make, you've got to have, you've got to take to get started strong so you can head out of the gate? Now here's my key. We talk at Elevate and Lean Tact all the time, and that's why we have schedulers. We have 30 schedulers at this point that do project support and scheduling for our contractors so they're able to finish projects on time with an amazing amount of success. We have that because when you have multiple contractors, you've got to work in a flow on attack time. Okay? When you have multiple contractors have got to go at a consistent pace. But when you're coming out of the ground and you only have one or two contractors, you can go as fast as you want because they're not dependent in a train. So you cannot waste time early on. You cannot experience foreseeable and preventable delays early out of the gate because it will stack at the end and you'll get in trouble. So we gotta start strong. So now I'm gonna give you a list of the key things that we gotta do right away to prepare for breaking ground. You know, and one thing real quick, one thing I've got to do, this guy, I've got to do these videos well enough to where you will like and subscribe and comment on these videos. If I don't, the channel dies. What I want is to provide massive value that you can use not only for you, but your whole organization. And I want to get that like, and I want to get that comment, I want to get that subscription, I want to get that share, because that helps the algorithm get to more people, and it makes all of this so worth it because we're changing the lives of a lot of people. So let's get right into the list. Number one, the pre-construction meeting with the owner. You might be thinking, oh, pre-construction meeting is so boring. Jason, why'd you I'm clicking off the video. No. This is what I consider, unless you do it separately, a pre-flight kickoff. Get in there with the owner, talk about what they want, go over the requirements, set the expectations, and make sure you know what they expect, because we are not a manufacturing business. We are a customer service business. What do they want? We've got to know that. So if we're starting our project in a couple weeks, couple months, hey, we got to know, because we're about to gear up this machine to produce not just a building, but customer value. Number two, and this is key, and I love me a nice buyout log. A buyout log for me lists all of the scopes for which we need contractors, and it lists when we're going to make the selection, when that contractor has an executed contract, when they have insurance, when they have bonds if necessary, when they have their safety and quality paperwork over to us, when do they have their emergency contacts, anything we need from them, that buyout log should track. Not just their amount. I've seen some buyout logs where it's just scope, contractor, amount. I don't care. That's a part of budget management. I care, when do they have an executed contract, when do they have insurance, when do they have their bonds, when are they compliant, compliant so they can go to work. That is absolutely key. So when you are setting up your job to hit right out of the gate, you have got to verify that your contractors who are going to start right out of the gate, this might be your civil, your earthwork contractor, your concrete contractor, whoever they may be, that they have the appropriate insurance before they start work on your project. Okay, number 3, and hopefully if you need this to be, it's already done, but any civil permit. So you already have your any permits for your site development. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about, do you have any salvage permits, right? Do you have a dust permit? Do you have a SWIP permit? Are there any initial permits that allow you to mobilize, clear and grub, and actively work on the site? Those have got to be in place and ready to go before you put a shovel on the ground. Number 4, order signs, job startup information, and any equipment that you might need, right? So you will need signage in addition to your traffic control, right? And in addition to your fencing. Any immediate signage that you need to really stabilize that project, interface with the neighbors, the public, anyone on the project site, provide a safe environment. You'll want your startup kit. I used to order, whatever company I was with, a safety startup kit. You would get a box with all of the SDSs, with all of the paperwork that you're supposed to fill out, with any typical signage, with the AED, with your air horn, any of these typical safety items. Before you mobilize on the job, you need to get that safety kit from corporate so you have everything you need on the ground as you start. You cannot be out there working without the fire extinguishers, without the first aid kit, without the AED, without the paperwork, without the SDSs. You've got to have that kit. And any equipment you might need to facilitate that job site at the beginning phases. Number 5, schedule pre-construction meetings. Now, I've never seen anyone do this well. So if you're like, yeah, J Money, I know this. You don't know it if you don't do it. So hear me out. You've got probably 5 or 6 contractors that are going to start. It's probably your electrician. It's probably your plumber, your concrete contractor, your civil contractor. You're going to, it might be some more that I don't even know about. But those contractors, you've got to, before they come on site, look at the scopes that they're going to do early on and do your pre-construction meeting with them as a part of your quality process. That means get their superintendent, get their foreman in the room, go through the plans and specs, go through the submittals, receive the paperwork, plan the job, look at logistics, look at schedule, look at safety, look at cost, look at sequence, and make sure that they're set up. This is not a, hey, just show up and we'll see what happens. Prepare them 1 to 2 weeks before they start in their pre-construction meetings. Even if you haven't broken ground on that job, set them up right. Number 6, hold the safety kickoff meeting. So you've got your box, your kit, like I mentioned, right? Now discuss the job site and your approach. Before you start, discuss those things with your corporate safety director or your business unit safety director. Have that walk with the fire department. Talk to any of the neighboring facilities. Do the walk with your owner's representative. Basically have a safety kickoff and make sure that everything is ready for you to keep people safe on your job. 7, send any mobilization or impact notices to the owner that might need to notify facilities or neighbors or anybody working around the project or adjacent projects themselves, so that people know, hey, you're going to break ground. They should expect a fence, they should expect trailers, they should expect construction traffic, they should expect traffic control. So make sure you submit your notices so there are no surprises. Win over hearts and minds of your neighbors from the get-go. Number 8, we have a different video that I'll link you to that talks about pulling permits. We'll link you to that in the description below. But the bottom line is, any permits you have for the project, right? You must have a permit for the project, for your salvage, for your dust, for your SWIP, or for anything else. You must have those posted ready to go, even if you don't have a full-blown trailer. Now, I will tell you, my best practice, I don't care how big the job is, I don't care any of this. I always get myself a small mobile mini with a generator and a baloney cord and ask my electrician to help me hook it up and get out there mobilized on site in a nice little trailer. Boots on the ground day 1 until my full trailer comes. And so those permits should be posted in that office right away. 9, call Blue Stake. 10, gather all of those as-builts for the project, for any underground utilities, and create a utility map with any resources inside your company. Pothole all of the Blue stake, your private utility locator, and any intersections for where your as-built show that there's underground utilities, and make sure that they are all mapped out and that you know exactly where utilities are, not just from information, not just from blue stake, not just from the private utility locator, but from potholes and actual data. Survey those points and make sure that as you mobilize, you do not hit any underground utilities. 12, order any office equipment, including your radios, so you can communicate. 13, order any equipment for the project site, like forklifts to support your trade partners. 14, establish your clearing and grubbing activities and make sure that you're able to set up your fence and your SWIP. Remember, your fencing screen goes on the inside in case there's storms. You don't want that blowing out into traffic. And remember this is key. Your clearing and grubbing contractors, especially if they're in there building your pad, whether they're over excavating or not, don't let them leave a nasty swath of materials and things that they found that they just threw over there. Make sure everything's stabilized from fence line to fence line 100%, and that you have a great base, a great foundation for building your project and your logistics. 15, establish your temporary utility hookups. You will need your water connection with your backflow preventer. You will need your temp power and any other needs on the job site, including communications and internet. 16, once you have your or before you have your fence and during the fenced installation, make sure that you have all of your wayfinding signage and traffic control installed. Beautiful, perfect. Now there's two things here that I want to mention, and I am getting a little bit like detailed with some of these things because I want to set a standard. Your fence, not old material. Yeah, I don't want to see posts all up high and raggedy fence. I want all of the fence perfectly level, perfectly straight, and all the poles cut tight. I want all of the traffic control, if it's going to be there permanently, rerouting pedestrians, it needs to be brand new and maintained on a daily basis. So get that stuff set up right away. Number 17, this is a big one. Establish your emergency cutoff procedures, meaning if you had a water leak, where would you shut off that valve? If somebody hit the gas line, what would you do? What is the emergency procedure? And you need all of the emergency context. I personally will not start a job until I've got my emergency response plan on the wall in the trailer, and I know, hey, we hit power, God forbid. We hit gas, God forbid. We hit a water line. We hit landscaping, irrigation. Whatever happens, I have an emergency number and a procedure to call in any instance. Number 18, order your trailer. Number 19, order your bathrooms, your hand wash stations, and your dumpster, including maybe a lunch area for your workers. Install your SWIP. Do any make-safe activities for the site. Set up your parking. Begin orientations. Establish a staging yard. And begin your daily foreman huddles. This is all assuming that by the time you left pre-construction, you already have your plan, your procurement, your schedule, and you have key contracts written. So this list is pretty helpful. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, wow, Jason, that's a lot of stuff. Here's my point. You can use my list. In fact, in the description below, I'm going to give you a nice, beautifully formatted list for your job startup activities. But whatever you do, have a plan, have a list. In fact, typically, I like to pull plan from where I am now to the weeks or months away that I am from starting a job site and get each and every one of those requirements done. By the time you hit the ground, calmly, you're able to focus because all of your pre-planning efforts are done. Really, it comes down to starting strong, being able to maintain or gain time right out of the gate so that we can set ourselves up for the more complex phases of the project. Again, I'm going to link you to this list in the description below, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.